Hi, my name is Marisol Maldonado, and this is the Digital Citizenship presentation. What is a digital citizenship? Well, one, it's appropriate use of technologies, and that means whether it's a desktop, laptop, iPad slash tablet, mobile device, any of these items, objects, one must use appropriately while accessing the internet. That means we're being respectful of the device, not damaging or trying to break it, closing it too hard or throwing it. Two, it's also responsible. So that's appropriate behavior. That's when you're accessing the content online, whether it's social media, it's informational um, content such as articles, even reading, watching videos on YouTube. We are displaying appropriate behavior. That means keeping our comments to ourselves, especially when in the classroom, being quiet, just thinking, but not loudly. Also, it's respect, being mindful of others. Although social media does tend to share an image for the profile of the person's IG or snapshot, even Twitter, for the most part. Other spaces, maybe such as articles, other blogs, may not have an actual visual representation of the author or person behind that article or blog. But we still need to, because we don't see that immediately, we need to remember that there's still somebody on the other side of that's written that has shared their ideas, their thoughts, their information. And when leaving feedback, be kind, to be respectful about it, because regardless whether or not that person's, whether you can see them or not, he or she has feelings. Also, it's knowledge. So that's having the skills to access the internet. That means some interfaces will require passwords, usernames. So being able to have maybe a written log, or maybe a spreadsheet where all that information is stored, so you have access to, or knowledge, or I guess, yes, knowledge to access the content a lot more easier. Okay, so there are nine elements of a that make up a digital citizenship, and one is security. So this is just being being precautious when it comes to online content. Usually you will be notified with a red flag, warning, accessing this website might give you viruses, or it's been um, targeted for viruses or for stealing passwords. So just always be careful when going online and you see a red flag, avoid it by all means. Also, it's communication. So this means the electronic exchange of communication, whether it's through text, through email, through social media, as an example, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter. Be careful what you communicate, because once it's out there, it stays there, whether you delete it. A copy of it can be done in a split second, and it just goes and goes and goes, and whatever you have said cannot be unsaid. Can be deleted, but not forever. Also, it's health and wellness. So that's you know having, or being, or the well-being of one's mental and physical health in the digital world. Making sure that if we're about to access content that says explicit, you're going to be able to handle it. um a lot of the times, explicit content, or warning, there are warnings given. Sometimes they're not. So that can have an impact on you. It could be traumatic. You never know. Just make sure that whatever you're about to access and see, you'll be able to process, and it will be still be healthy for you. Also, access, it's full electronic participation in society. So once you have a electronic device that can access the web, you have access to the world from home or the library or from school, from the palm of your hands. So as soon as you have this access, you're able to participate no matter where you're at with the internet and with the rest of the world. Also, it's the rights and the responsibilities of the digital world. That means also respecting, also being able to know that you as a person are responsible, be responsible for any direction you take in the internet. Also, it's laws. It's electronic responsibility for actions and needs. So, as a digital citizen, you must be aware that whatever you do, whether it's, especially if it's inappropriate, it will have its consequences as a digital citizenship. There are laws, regulations that you must abide as a digital citizenship. It's also commerce, so this is buying foods, Amazon, even on Instagram, Best Buy, Wayfair, any any store online that has products you may buy. So always be careful with your credit cards. Don't save your information, especially if you're sharing the device. It's also etiquette, so standards of conduct procedure, you know, making sure we're poised, quiet, respectful, we're closing our tabs, shutting down appropriately. Literacy as well. It's the process of teaching and learning about using technology and using it. So this is making sure that we know all the steps to access technology, how to access, how to turn it off, and making sure we are not leaving any important information behind. Why is it important in education? So, technology or digital citizenship are important in education because there's a lot of influence content. So, there are algorithms that can present information based on previous searches. So, when you go in to a search engine, you will see a track of what's been searched before, which is very important to have that data cleared just for security purposes. It's also communication. Social media is the most used method of communication across all devices, so be careful what is communicated again. Once it's out there, you may be able to delete it, at least you think you deleted it, but in reality, there is a track and it's been probably multiplied and shared millions of times within a minute. There's also regulation, so lack of regulations can display distorted information to students. So right now with Photoshop, a lot of a lot of information is distorted. So there's not a lot of what would you say? A lot of credibility, a lot of honesty. So we have to watch out for that and be very careful with that, especially in the classroom. Also, when accessing social media or internet or anything on the internet, parents really do need to be, and teachers need to be aware of cyberbullying. So, what can this look like? It can look like passive aggressive behavior. So, teach your children to face the problem directly. Don't let them hide from it because it will build resentment and it will make the problem matters worse. Also, keep a record of all accounts and password. As a parent, as a teacher, it's important to have a log, like again, whether it's on paper or it's a spreadsheet, our little index card, have all the information stored and keep it stored. So if anything or any problem arises, you can access that in the future to see what happened, what might have stemmed from that. And also, um, if your student or child is a victim of cyberbullying, listen to your child or student's needs by being kind of understanding. Usually we tend to dismiss, it'll be okay, we'll talk about this later. And in most cases, it might build up and it might transpire into something worse, and we want to avoid that at all costs. And these are the references. Thank you for listening.